What's up, everyone? It's your boy Scott. Welcome to the Scott Reports. Today I'm bringing you an anime review of the Ancient Magus Bride episode 2. Looks like we got our first taste of adventure as a dragon shows up, and we may also have a potential nemesis as we saw in this episode. But mostly this episode, just like how episode 2s always are, and you hear this if you guys have been around for my type of reviews for second episodes. This was the episode where you take the time to build the world that we're in, and this is where you take the time to flesh out the characters that we're going to spend our time with in this series, as well as get to know some of the other people, as we got to meet quite a deal of people who I hope stay around, because each one that I've seen had their own type of charm or uniqueness that could make this series really good, and we got to see that today. But the biggest thing that we dealt with was this arranged marriage that we have between Chise and Elias. As it's understandable to see why Chise will be weirded out. I mean, overall, she's only known this guy like, what, 2 or 3 days? But he is already moving forward. Like, we need to start talking about our honeymoon and the future and things like that. And at the same time, she's kind of like, wait a minute, I am not ready for this. I mean, even though she is grateful for everything that he's doing, he's very loving to her, he's very nice to her, but at the same time, this guy is still a stranger. And, you know, I'm American, so I don't know what it's like to have an arranged marriage or anything. You know, for the most part, unless it's some type of business relationship or something, we choose our mates here. You know, you choose who you want to marry. It's not too many cases where your mate is choosing for you like it is in other places. So I think it is intentional to show the type of weight and the type of uneasiness or the unsureness that a person would have, because, you know, this guy, he's, you know, caressing her, stroking her hair and everything, you know, talking about honeymoons and things like that. And at the same time, she says a little bit weirded out about that because she doesn't know this man. But there is that contrast because he treats her very good, and that's something that she's not used to in life, as we're still getting little vague and small slivers of Chise's past with her mother. We did learn that her mother completely resented her, but there is something that comes up later in the episode that I'll get to in a moment that it kind of makes you think about what went on, as we don't know why Chise chose to put herself into this slavery bid besides being treated horribly. But as she begins to learn magic in this episode, she has a memory of her mother, and I'm wondering if this nice memory that she actually had of her mother, was this actually a manifestation that she was able to create? Because they're making it a big deal about her being this slave baggy, that she has a lot of untapped potential. Or was this actually truly a very good memory that she had of her mom at one point, and then things just went completely bad? But overall, again, we did get to learn about more of this world, as we actually learned the difference between magic and sorcery in this episode 2. Is one of the characters that we were introduced to is a character that I very like already by the name of Angelica. And I like her look, I like her personality, I like her style. She is actually a mage, but she's also a mage craft. So she has a shop where she makes weapons, and she makes things like that, weapons and all types of items with her ability, as Chise is brought to her in order to just learn more about what's going on and learn more about this magical world that she's in. And she breaks down and explains to Chise the difference between magic and sorcery. You see, sorcerers, their ability is more natural, is maybe the word that I'm looking for, because she explains that sorcerers, when they do what they do, they're using their own ability. They're actually creating whatever they're creating from the ability that they have. Versus a mage does more outstanding things, do more things that are more like miracles. But the reason why they do this is because they pull in the various help from fairies and other type of magical spirits and things like that. But because this ability is so powerful, you have to be careful. You have to be trained in it right, because it can very well take your body, or worse, as we see with this character Angelica. She actually had like a gem type of skin or something growing on her skin, to maybe to the point where earlier on in her life, maybe she did something wrong, or maybe she tried to take on something that was a little bit over her magic grade, and it looks like it began to take part of her body as well. So she explained that to Chise in this episode, that you have to be trained well, and you have to be very careful when you're dealing with the power of a mage, because we pull in from different things across the world that this magic spectrum is built from, and there is a price to that if you don't do it right. So as she's beginning to show Chise how to do magic, she wasn't aware that she was a slave baby. So when she did that, she was able to take like this little jewel, and instead of, you know, just making a little small flower, she ended up engulfing the entire room with like crystals and flower type things, almost in a forest. And this forest of flowers was a memory that Chise had of her mother back in one of the good times of her mother. But again, this is where my question comes from. Like, was this actually like a good memory that she had of her mother, or did she manifest this with her ability? Because they're putting a big emphasis on her being a slave baby and how important this is. So if she's able to manipulate things like that, I can understand why a slave baby would be so dangerous. And also, like with mages themselves, mages are a dying breed, as we see with Angelica as well. She has a daughter who has high potential, and she's very interested in being a mage herself, but Angelica wants her just to be a regular kid. She's like, I don't want her to live the life that I had. I mean, I can understand why she would want her to be normal. So I can understand a little bit of brashness that she has towards her daughter, because she's trying to deter her from that. But again, we did get the world building in this episode with learning the difference between the sorcerer and a mage, and just opening up the world overall. I cannot wait to find out more about the mages themselves and why they are extinct. Besides, you know, of course, people always fear these type of things. So I have a feeling that's something that's coming in the future with this series. This episode, we're also introduced formally to Silky, who is the maid in the house, where Elliot says she's more of a landlord than a mage, but she is actually a fairy. And that's interesting because she's a full-grown person. So the fairies that we've seen so far has always been like these kind of sprite type of characters, but she was like actually a real grown woman. So we got introduced to her, as well as Simon, who is a priest. And it's interesting that a priest and a mage will have this type of relationship, because Simon comes to Elias to not only get items to heal the people of the city and the village around them, but also to bring him jobs, which I think we're going to find out a little bit more. And maybe that's what the last episode was leading to maybe some type of odd jobs that he does. I'm pretty sure by him being a mage, and probably a very powerful mage, they probably employ him to take out these type of evils, like people with dragons, who I cannot wait to see next week. They really did leave that on a note to bring you back, because this guy kind of just showed up, presented him with some work for him to do, and then we go into this forest land, and then a dragon pops up and takes Chise away from us. So that ends the episode. But again, it was a very solid episode. It was the type of episode we needed to. It's already a chill type of series, but we needed that episode to expand on what's going on between Chise and Elias, as they're pushed into this relationship that they're going to have together, whether they like it or not. And it's not to say that maybe she wouldn't grow to love this character, but again, the fact that it's practically, I bought you and now you're going to be my wife, that's a little bit weird. It's going to take a little bit to getting used to. Like, even if you are in an arranged marriage, it's kind of like, yeah, you don't know this person, and you probably will eventually grow to love that person, but it doesn't make it a little bit more uncomfortable that you don't know them from Adam or Eve when you first meet them. So we really got to deal with that, and that's something that I really liked about the series, is that they're not shying away that Chise may not be okay with this. She just likes the situation that she's in. Also, before we left Angela, she made an assortment of items for Chise, which I'm pretty sure are going to be major once the series goes down the line. We got a long way to go, because I believe we're getting 24 episodes of this. And something that I always wondered, and they did address on this episode, is how does Elias go around the city so freely? But it looks like what he does when he goes into town is actually disguise himself with a face. And it was funny because he was so happy. I mean, he thought he was hot shit when he made this disguise. He was like, look at me, aren't I handsome? And Chise was like, you know, actually that looks pretty fake. So damn, I mean, just getting shot down like that. I like the dynamic that these two have as they're going to get to know each other. And once again, we had a very good episode under our hand of the Ancient Magus Bride. But of course, you know, there's going to be questions, because this is a magical series, this is a fantasy series, and there's still things that we haven't tapped into. So I'm wondering where we're going. I mean, the slay begging thing. How powerful can Chise be? I mean, I spoke about this in the last video, but I'm pretty sure there's a reason. Even though Elias, he is a good-natured man, or it seems, I'm pretty sure he had his own intentions for getting this girl, as he wants to keep who she is and what she is under wraps. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an advantage to him for her being what she is. And you know, whenever you deal with mages and magic and people and things want to be hidden, like people being slay baggies, there's going to be some people around who probably want to either take her away, which we saw, destroy her, or something like that. And there might just be a little bit of selfishness in Elias as well that may come out. And I just got a feeling that at some point in the series, he's gonna probably lash out like, you know what, I saved you and I need your power, I'm gonna use your power. He probably had bad intentions. I mean, that's just me. It's like that type of trigger always comes up with me, that at some point, I think that really is a reason why he chose this girl, or why this arrangement was made, because she said her father was still alive. And we saw that she was sold off to someone. So maybe it was intentional for her to go to this man. I mean, I know he bought her for a very high price, but it seemed like it was more of an auction. I think there was more to it than that, and I cannot wait to find out. Also, yeah, whenever there's dragons around, there's always going to be a good thing, so I cannot wait to dive into that. Guys, let me know some of your thoughts and theories of this series in the comments below. If you liked the video, go ahead and drop it a like. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's just not a shortage of content you indulge on this channel. As I always say, you guys can be anywhere on YouTube right now, but you chose to listen to me. And I really appreciate that, so thanks for stopping by. On that note, it's your boy Scott signing out. See you soon.